Again, we're speaking, my name is Campbell Lima, born and raised here in Thunder Bay. Has anyone ever heard of a man by the name of Bruce Lee? I once read his book called Owl. And there's one line in that book in particular I specifically remember. And it was, how did it go now? The most dangerous thing to teach oneself is their own attitude. So maybe keep an open mind, like we have here, and try to challenge your own belief system. What Joanne has delivered this evening, and what I'm about to say, might be useful for someone. Here we go. So speaking on behalf of the men, women, and taxpayers of Thunder Bay and the district. We are here to talk about the relationship between the strong mayor powers and housing in the implications of them. The province of Ontario has connected its housing targets for cities in Ontario to the controversial position of strong mayor. Powers that went into effect October 31st, 2023. Halloween, of all days. What is Bill C-3, Strong Mayors Building Homes Act 2022? Under this act, the provincial government has designated our municipality to use an alternative strong mayor system. Under this, our mayor has been granted direct control over the following matters. Drafting of city budgets, which would normally be done by a council committee. The appointment and dismissal of city managers and department leaders, except for police chiefs, fire chiefs, and an auditor general. The creation, dissolution, and reorganization of municipal administrative departments. Veto power over bylaws that may conflict with priorities defined by the provincial government, which may be overridden by a 2/3 supermajority of council. This significant shift is how municipalities were governed in Ontario. The weak mayor system has traditionally been used in Ontario and is used in all local governments across Canada and is characterized by compromise and concession among elected council and the one representative, one vote standard. According to the Institute of Municipal Finance and Governance at the University of Toronto, the weak mayor system reduces corporate influence, the quality of public service is higher, citizens are more engaged, and it reduces conflict among elected officials. The province announced the Building Faster Fund this year as part of an effort to see 1.5 million new housing units built by 2031 in Ontario. The Building Faster Fund provides funding to communities that hit at least 80% of their provincially proscribed housing target, with an increasing formula for those who exceed. This development was the latest in a provincial process that is meant to push cities to do more to support housing growth. However, the Building Faster Fund has frustrated many municipal leaders over its unclear and changing details. Although SMPs, or strong mayor powers, are tied to housing funding, the use of these powers is undefined and of concern. Here in Thunder Bay, 9 councillors voted against the strong mayor powers, while only 3 voted for it. The strong mayor powers and the housing plan became a reality in Thunder Bay, despite our councillors voting 9-3 against it. What was the vote for? This is not a democracy, or this is not democratic. Ignoring a major vote is a very slippery slope. Most citizens have no understanding what's being done under the council's watch. Councillor Brian Hamilton was among those to argue that the changes placed too much power in the hands of one person, while emphasizing his concerns were not about Mayor Boschkoff specifically. Why I'm really opposed to this legislation is actually the vulnerability it puts on the office of the mayor, where lobbyists and aggressive people could get the ear of the mayor, he said. Potentially, you could have the loudest player in the playground, basically running the city. And to me, that's very, very frightening.
Well, this is from TBT News, so we have the links if you want to copy this down there.
Councillor Andrew Foles, who also was opposed, set out the provincial program. I'm struggling a bit with my own expectations of this. The reality is we're only potentially eligible for just $600,000 a year. That's not building roads, I'll take it, but how is this going to get more houses built? Hitting this provincially mandated housing target earned the city of Thunder Bay $870,890 from the province to put toward infrastructure that will allow even more housing to be constructed. City councilors have questioned how this level of funding, which represents fractions of a percentage point of the city's annual budget, which is $538,261,800, could possibly impact the city. The mayor of Halden County declined the strong mayor powers and said, councillors are elected to represent the people in their wards, and strong mayor powers sound more like a dictatorship. Other municipalities in southern Ontario have challenged the strong mayor powers as well. Before accepting the strong mayor powers themselves, the mayors of 3 northern Ontario cities, including Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, and North Bay, have all argued the powers are not necessary to achieve housing goals. Does our city councillor know where this push is coming from? Does it know who is directing the Ontario government and funding it to build new housing and also giving them strong mayor powers? Why is this happening? And what kind of buildings is the Ontario government requiring us to build? City of Thunder Bay Director of Development Services, Joel DePuter, told council that the city had awarded building permits for 280 units in 2023, well above the yearly average of 175. Those strong numbers were bolstered significantly by one 60-unit apartment development on Golf Links Road. DePuter has issued a permit for a second 60-unit apartment on the same site, which will be reflected in 2024 data. He said that we are seeing an uptick in multi-residential housing, so much so in the previous years. DePuter noted that there are additional changes that are planned to the zoning bylaw that will allow for more residential density in the building on smaller properties. Joel DePuter said that funding incentivizes the development of high-density housing in core areas and the addition of second units or additional units within existing homes. This thrust for higher density housing is something we should all be concerned about. High-density construction blocks are being built across the world with government subsidies. Their infrastructure is being done with our tax dollars. You may not be aware, but some of what we are talking about is really happening here as well in other parts of the world. High-density housing, why is it bad? This idea comes directly from the Agenda 21 non-governmental authorities and other documents mentioned in our first presentation, and affects all municipal land use policies. For example, page 11 of the Municipal Primer, section 4.1, mentions that more intensified development within urban boundaries must be promoted. Why? Urban areas are being consolidated and rural areas are being emptied of people throughout the world. This is being done by restricted land policies, increasing gasoline costs, road closures, loss of road maintenance, etc. For example, Agenda 21 promotes dense clusters of people in centers, road and mobility restrictions, and even tolls, bike lanes, and reducing our ability to use private vehicles. The infrastructure is being completed with our tax dollars. High-density construction blocks are being built across the world with government subsidies. Stack them and pack them housing is is what governments worldwide are encouraging their municipalities to build. Why are we being told by the Ontario government what to do? The provincial government takes its orders from the federal government, which has lost its sovereignty, as shown previously. We are capable to determine how our city should be organized and run without interference from international governance. Our concerns about the strong mayor powers. SMP's strong mayor powers were imposed upon us with the promise of money to build housing, but in the process, our democratic rights have been lost. Now, our mayor has unprecedented powers, as he only needs 3 councillors in favor of his agenda, and also he can wield a veto. A mayor's veto could even make the best decisions null and void with his or her bias, influence, and lack of expertise. It can undermine the best possible democratic decision. We lose transparency, the power of local decision-making and expertise. We lose accountability, and the promised funds are inadequate. This is not worth losing our democracy over. One person in power is a recipe for disaster. In democracy, you have more people to provide more transparency and accountability. Who's accountable for any liability related to detrimental financial decision-making? The mayor has been granted 0 liability. Is the Ontario government accountable for city councillors? As public servants, the mayors and councillors' allegiance should be to their constituents. More effective public consultation and participation are key. We are here to hold City Council responsible for taking away our traditional rights at a municipal level. We voted for them with a fundamental understanding that they represent us, not an agenda passed down by the provincial government and accepted for money. Municipal governments are also supposed to act as buffers to protect us from the negative influences of the provincial government and federal government and from NGOs, non-governmental agencies. Strong mayor powers in Ontario are a gross violation of democratic principles. Sacrificing local democracy for the housing crisis funding sets a dangerous precedent. We are being told that the council cannot reverse strong mayor powers, but we are here exercising our democratic right to bring away